Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Grill Nation Show with Jason Grill. Thanks for joining us today on 980 AM KMBZ. If you're joining us on podcast networks, we greatly appreciate it. Or if you're watching the live stream on my social media, thank you very much. Our website is grillnationshow.com. We are very excited to have on the show this week one of our esteemed collaborators of the Grill Nation Show with Jason Grill, a leader in the real estate world here locally and obviously across the world. He's going to talk to us today about his recent venture to Africa and how that affected him. But first off, welcome to the show, Andrew Bash. Andrew Bash, Bash & Co., Sotheby's International Realty. Their website is bashcosir.com. How are you today, Andrew?
I'm great, Jason. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
How have you been, my friend?
Well, it's been a little crazy. Been pretty busy. Lots of craziness in the residential real estate world, and a lot of people trying to find houses, can't find houses, and trying to recover from cover is probably the wrong word. Adjust from the trip to Africa. So it's been good. It's been amazing.
Yeah, let's start there because I did some research. I know you're putting out a lot of content these days. I read an article in the Shawnee Mission Post about the real estate market in Q1, and it was crazy the amount of homes that are selling so fast and the little inventory that we do have in our market. But I think it's a national trend. Am I right? At least in major cities.
Yeah, it is. It's a national trend everywhere. There is a housing shortage currently, and that coupled with lots of millennial first-time home buyers and super low interest rates, and the psychology of the consumer changing as a result of the pandemic. Home has become incredibly more important than it probably was even previously, and it was pretty important previously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw, it's up across the board. 64% drop in the number of houses on the market between February 2020 and February 2021. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's totally insane. It's inventory for more recently on April. The inventory is down 56% from April of last year.
So Andrew, one listing I did want to talk to you briefly about, which before we get into the preview of today's show, it's going to be exciting. You are now the realtor of a home that I've been to. I can't even count as many times for events up north in my old stomping grounds up in Weatherby Lake, but more near the Parkville area in the Kansas City North. The term that we like to call this place is the Castle.
Lancelot.
That is now your listing. So Lancelot, what's that all about? That's pretty cool. I saw that on your Instagram.
It is such an incredible house. Gosh, I mean, where do you begin? There's not really anything like it in Kansas City. Lance Welch and his wife Laura built it 20 plus years ago. It's modeled after kind of a castle you'd find in Camelot. Sits right on the lake on 3 different lots. I mean, it's a total of 3 lots that it sits on. It's really one of the most spectacular homes in Kansas City. It's been on the market on and off a few times, but I think we have it priced at a really great value. I mean, to duplicate something like that would cost, probably over $10 million. And, it's listed just under 4.5 million. So it's an incredible opportunity.
When that house was built, that was a huge deal in the Northland. And I have friends that live at Weatherby Lake now, and I'm assuming they're wondering when that house will be sold. But I always remember people telling me you had like a drawbridge that you had to cross when you went through the front door. It doesn't, I don't believe. There's no lagoon. There's no moat.
There's no moat, and there's no drawbridge. So that is actually not true.
So they hosted a lot of charity events there throughout the years, and I finally got to go to it. It's quite the property, and it's pretty cool to see your sign, the navy blue Bash & Co. Sotheby International Realty sign associated with that legendary house.
Well, the thing that's so great about the brand of Bash & Co. Sotheby's International Realty is that um, those kind of homes people expect to see our sign, I believe, because they're of a certain level. But really, the reason that you see our signs in houses like that and houses that are priced at 250 or 350,000 is that the brand personifies a luxury experience. And if you're looking for a high level white glove kind of service, there's really nobody in Kansas City that does what we do and how we do it. So
yeah,
it's incredible.
I see your houses everywhere, and it's exciting. Very exciting. I saw one down the street the other day, or close by in Brookside.
Yeah, we sold the one on the corner of 55th.
Yeah.
1200 West 55th. It had been on the market with 2 or 3 other agents for 5 years, and we closes next month. So we're excited about that.
I love it.
And we're just having a lot of fun helping clients and delivering an experience of which didn't exist in Kansas City before at the level and with I just call it consistency.
Mm-hmm. Andrew Bash is our guest. Bash & Co. Sotheby International Realty. BashCosir.com. This is going to be a fun show today for everyone listening. We are going to talk about Andrew's recent trip to Africa and kind of really get deep in the weeds of how this has kind of affected his mindset as far as what a home really means and how it connects to real estate. I was not aware you were going to Africa, Andrew, but I have read about your journey in some of the local media, and I'm excited to kind of go through it and hear more about it, my friend.
Well, it's probably besides residential real estate in my family, it's probably my favorite subject. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Can't wait. Andrew Bash is our guest again. Andrew traveled to Africa. Was that in April or before that?
March. It was spring break.
Spring break, March 2021. We are going to talk about the places that he visited, what the people were like from a mindset perspective, what their homes were like, what the regions were like. I believe you went on a safari as well. We'll go through that. We'll talk about kind of how it's impacted you in your life on the Grill Nation show. On this week's episode with Andrew Bash. I want to ask our listeners if they want to connect with us, they can. You can join us on Twitter or on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Just search for Jason Grill at Jason Grill and at Grill Nation Show on Twitter. Also, we have a YouTube page where you can watch all of our episodes, all of our sneak peek previews. You can see all of our guests. Please like and subscribe and check that out as well. We'll be right back after the break with more of the Grill Nation show with Jason Grill. Today, I am joined by Andrew Bash from Bash & Co. Sotheby International Realty. Okay, Andrew, we're still live, but in the break as we save the first segment. Everything good on your end, my friend?
Yeah, we do good.
Yeah.
Am I looking in the right spot?
I'm excited to dive deep into the trip to Africa. And as soon as Darren tells us we can start. But make sure you stay still as possible so we don't lose you because you have a Wi-Fi connection.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Does it impact it?
We'll have to know what this is that you're wearing here. We'll ask you when we come back, but you've done a wardrobe change during the break.
Is that okay?
That is great. Yeah.
It's the old, it's a shuka. I'm having to look things up because I can't remember everything.
Okay, here we are. We are on live, Andrew. We are going straight now back to the recording for the radio. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to the Grill Nation Show. I am your host, Jason Grill. You're listening on either KMBZ 980 AM on podcast or on our website, grillnationshow.com. I want to thank all of those who have joined our live stream today as well on my social media. I think I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on Twitter right now. I should be at least, with Andrew Bash, who is the founder of Bash & Co. Sotheby International Realty. Their website is bashcosir.com. Andrew, we are back, and we are going to dive right into this trip that you went on to Africa. First off, just kind of tell us, why did you go to Africa? How did this happen? What was the reasoning behind it? And I will note for our people that are watching, you have put on something over your suit, which you can explain to us as well.
This was a gift from one of the Maasai tribe members. One evening, very early or very in the morning or very late at night, we were sitting around chatting, and they were all of the people, and we were in Tanzania, is where we did our safari and our little adventure. And I don't know, his name was Joseph, and he liked me, and it was kind of an honor that he gave this to me.
Cool.
So it's called a shuka, and it would be like the different tribes. They all wear different colored shukas to like represent what tribe they are a part of. And it's worth mentioning, in Tanzania, there's I think over 170 different tribes. And in Africa, Tanzania is one of the only countries where once they got their independence from that, they actually came together, all the tribes, and basically said country first, tribe second, which is why it's a little less erratic, less infighting, because they all the tribe came together and said, we're going to make the country have a national movement, basically, which that hasn't taken place in some of the other countries where you see genocide and tribes fighting, etc. So pretty cool.
It's very cool. So thanks for sharing that story. Why did you go to Africa, and who did you go with? How did this happen?
So Africa was not on my radar. I never even had thought about it. And we had friends of ours, Steve and Heather Hunt, who we call Steve. He's Steve Sai now. He's part of the Maasai tribe. He has his own knife. He does not have a shuka. I will mention that. Hopefully he watches this. But they are wild travelers. They travel all the time. And they were over at our house right before Christmas. And we were talking about spring break. And Heather and Steve said, we're going to Africa for spring break. I was like, in the middle of the pandemic, I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, tickets are $600 to fly to Tanzania, Kilimanjaro, round trip. And the actual safaris are a third of the price of what they would normally be. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll do that. I didn't really think about it. And my family and I decided that we would do it. And unfortunately, our flights were canceled multiple times, and the $600 tickets didn't actually happen that way, because our final flight was canceled 10 days before we were supposed to leave. So we had to get new flights that were not $600. But Steve and Heather had set up and curated probably the most incredible experiences I've ever had in my life. And there's over 600 outfitters that do these trips, and she did the homework to find out what the difference was, because some of them were 40 or 50% more than others, and you stay at some of the same places, but they charge you 40% more. So it's a bit of a racket. So navigating that is not easy. So if anybody has interest, I'd be more than happy to talk to you and help you give you the inside scoop on that. But yeah, that's what happened. They literally said that they were doing it. And like I said, Africa is everyone should be making this trip if you can. It's incredible. At the time we were over there, because of the pandemic, the Serengeti and the places that Gora Gora, all the different places where we went on safari, there was no one there. We literally were everywhere we stayed. We pretty much stayed by ourselves. There were no other families there. So it was us and the Hunts, so the two families.
Wow. So you said you took your family. So you have what, 3 kids, correct?
Yeah. Oscar's 15, Augie's 14, and Poppy's 11.
And your wife came.
Courtney came as well. Yes, of course.
So you went on this trip. How long were you guys there?
We were there with travel, like 18 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 14 hours to Qatar. We took Qatar Airlines, which was amazing. So you fly into Doha and then down to Kilimanjaro. So 14 hours to Qatar to Doha, and then another 8 hours down to Kilimanjaro.
You have stated, at least pre-show, that this was the most significant travel experience of your lifetime. And we will get into more of what you did, but why was that? Is it just because you had no notions? You just kind of were just blown away by everything you saw, but why was it such a significant travel experience?
A couple things come to mind when you ask me. The most important thing is like Africa is where it all started. Like, I mean, if you look and pay attention to any kind of anthropology, like we all came from Africa, and you're going back to kind of this place that it's the vastness and the lack of development in Tanzania is almost it's almost jarring, because you can look like it feels like I've never seen anything like it. Like it truly is the most vast, like it just goes on forever. And, the tribes that still exist, there's still tribes that are still nomadic, that are still hunters and collectors. We spent time with some of them. We went hunting one day. The tribe still like goes and hunts every day. And, it's so, the people, they still operate as if they are, I guess the way I would sum it up is, we operate as if they are part of nature and the earth, as opposed to that they are in charge of nature and the earth. And I know it sounds a little, I don't know, out there, but I think, in general in the West, we kind of operate from this place of that we've conquered the landscape, and we control it, and we develop it, and we make it and meld it into what we want it to be. And it's still pretty wild out there. I mean, you don't see a family like a group of 25 giraffes when you round the corner ever in the United States. And yet, I don't know, there probably used to be here. The elephants, like the family of elephants, the lions, and you're in a like a Land Cruiser that's been outfitted to like pop the top so you can look out of it. But you're within like 5 feet of these animals, and they stare at you. Like, it's kind of like you kind of hear people talk about jokingly, like they stared into my soul, but it really is. You just are a part of, I call it the oneness. Some people would call it God. It's a very spiritual experience. And then the people, one of my favorite stories is I was trying to see if I could get everyone to do like a quick meditation before we did our first game drive. And our drivers, Aladdin and David, who were incredible, they're like, what is meditation? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, you like get mindful, get present, to get like in the moment, like to be present in the moment. And they both looked at me like I was crazy. And they were like, we live our whole life like that. We're never not in the moment. And I'm like, and they didn't say it in a judgmental way. They said it in a way that, I don't know. I mean, their quote was always, Aladdin's quote was when we would try to like want to give money to the tribe or the Maasai that asked for money or whatever, they would say, you can't do that. You don't want to give them money. They are not suffering. You are suffering. That's what Aladdin would say. And
Wow. So
we
really,
live on a hand.
an interesting journey. We got about a minute left in the segment. Just give us a quick overview of what the locals were like in Tanzania.
They're like the most incredible people in the world. They're all happy and kind and endearing, and they love Americans and Europeans. And I don't know, like the security guard that gave me this, he makes $75 a month, just to put it in perspective. Like that's what he gets paid per month. Like it's so surreal as it relates to what they live off of and how they live, comparatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And the locals, when you go and hang out, when we hung out with the tribes, like they don't collect items, like they don't have pictures on the wall. Everything in their huts were like of use, whether it be a bowl or a bow and arrow or whatever. It's not like they don't have things just to have things. They're not collectors like we are, like where, oh, I need another one of those, or maybe I should buy another car, a bigger house. That doesn't happen. And these tribes are much closer to a primitive lifestyle that is very foreign to us.
Interesting stuff. Andrew Bash is with us, founder of Bash & Co. Sotheby's International Realty. Their website is bashcosir.com. We're going to have more with Andrew after the break. We're going to talk more about how this trip affected him and his company and him personally. You're listening to the Grill Nation Show with Jason Grill. We'll be right back.
Good.
Okay, so we have another long segment coming up, 11:40.
Did we do okay on that?
You did great. We'll start with kind of that mindset and continue on to kind of some other questions I have on the actual experience, kind of logistics.
Okay.
And then we'll get into kind of how this has changed you. If at all. Hopefully it has.
No, not at all. I'm the same as I ever was.
Okay, we are ready to roll in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Grill Nation Show with Jason Grill. If you're listening on the radio on KMBZ 980 AM, or if you're joining me on podcast or on our YouTube page, where you can watch all of our shows, or at our website, grillnationshow.com. Thank you for joining us for this week's show. Always appreciate you listening, however you're listening or watching. Appreciate all those who have collaborated with us on the show this year, including Andrew Bash with Bash & Co. Sotheby's International Realty. Their website is bashcosir.com. That's bashcosir.com. This is kind of a unique show for us. We're talking about Andrew's recent trip to Africa with his family, and kind of how it's impacted him, what he learned, what he takes back from the trip to help him in his business and in his real estate world. You also you talked about the mindsets of the individuals, Andrew, and you went to a place called Zanzibar. What were the difference between Zanzibar and Tanzania?
Yeah, so Zanzibar is an island just off the coast of Tanzania, but it's part of Tanzania. It's really where all of the East African slave trade took place. It was, there's, and it's more of like a resort island to some degree. It was probably the most metropolitan part of the trip. Mm-hmm. There's an area called Stone Town, which is literally, we went to where the slave trade started, I think in the 1500s by the Portuguese. Mm-hmm. And we stayed at this resort, the Gold Zanzibar, which is probably one of the nicest options. My favorite part of and it's right on the Indian Ocean, facing, I guess that would be west back towards Zanzibar. So it doesn't have any like wake, it doesn't have waves. It's sort of like always still.
Got it.
But after spending 12 days in safari with all these amazing people and having this experience of like, we're all one and there's not that many differences between all of us, hunting with the Hezbollah tribe and like watching us like, them killing a couple of birds and then literally making fire on the fly, like out of Survivor with their boat, like with their arrow, like this kind of thing, like literally, like they don't have matches, they don't have lighters. It's like, it was insane. And then they just put the bird up right there, and there was like a pigeon and a couple other kinds of birds, and we ate it right there. And watching like the difference of what it would be like to get up every morning and have to go find your food. And their pantry were in Tanzania, when we went hunting with them, they would just pick berries off of the trees and eat them as they walked around, because they don't like keep anything. And so we have this experience, this amazing, like eye-opening, transformational experience. And then we get to Zanzibar, and we decided, Heather had set it up that we spent 3 or 4 days just on the beach doing nothing after going, because we stayed at like 5 or 6 different places all throughout Tanzania.
Yeah.
Prior to that. Anyway, we get there, and normally Zanzibar caters to the Italians and the Spaniards, but because of COVID, they're in lockdown. And so they did a marketing pivot, and it was basically our 2 families as Americans, and then the entire rest of the resort was Russians. And it was also an all-you-can-eat, like all-inclusive. So we would be eating at these buffets, and they also don't believe COVID exists. So like there weren't masks or anything like that, which was pretty hilarious. But the reason I tell you the story is because I think this is part of one of the most eye-opening pieces, and that is we went from that transformative experience of understanding we're all the same and that stop like looking at our differences. And then we got to Zanzibar and the resort, and then all of us like separately were like, ugh, the Russians. I hate the Russians. And the reason I bring that up is because it reminded me of like how strong indoctrination to stories that we buy into on a daily, monthly, and lifetime basis. And the story of the Russians being the enemy has been in place for a really long time. And culturally, they're very different from us. And I don't know, it was just weird. We were like, oh, we are all one. And then like, one plane ride later, it's like, hey, how much can I eat? I'm an American. Get me to the buffet. And oh, by the way, I hate all the Russians.
Yeah, definitely 2 different experiences, Andrew. We got a lot more questions to get to. So any quick safari story you want to share? I know we talked about Tanzania. You said you ate a pigeon. Is that what you just said?
I ate a little of a pigeon, a wild pigeon. Yeah, we like ran around in the bush trying to. The actual hunter.
You're actually staying kind of really in like a true, roughing it situation, I guess you would call it as an American.
No, I was not. It was
okay.
All the places we stayed were amazing. It was glamping times 10. They were incredible. But we would do it. We did a day trip to hang out at and spend time with people that their houses are made of like wood sticks and dried elephant dung. That's what they use for concrete. So it doesn't smell anymore. It's been gone. But I mean, I don't know. Like there's so many stories I could share with you, but I can't remember what your question was.
Yeah, we were just talking about safaris. You kind of covered that. I just didn't know if there's.
Oh yeah. So the animals are amazing. Like, do I have multiple stories? My favorite story is everybody else decided not to go on a game drive late in the afternoon, and Steve and I, the other dad, went with David and saw like probably the most incredible sunset I've ever seen in my life, and saw multiple families of lions, and the guides spot animals from like miles. It's insane. They're like, I think there's something over there. And then they drive over there and there was a whole family of lions hanging out, just chilling. And the zebras, you kind of get bored with zebras because there's so many zebras everywhere. But then at the end, you're like, oh my God, I may never see zebras again.
Yeah.
We did a hot air balloon trip over the Serengeti, which was amazing, where you can see all the giraffes and the elephants and the lions from up above. The giraffes are like the most, like, they're such a beautiful animal. I've never really paid much attention to them previously. And when watching a giraffe run is like, just like the most amazing thing. My favorite thing was we came across these lions, and I don't know, I made eye contact with this lion. He just like stared at me for like 45 seconds. It was wild. It really is a trip. If you can do it, you should do it for sure. And if you've got kids, the youngest person in our group was 9. Harper was 9, and she's a pretty mature 9-year-old because she's traveled a lot. So I would say as long as your kids are between 10 and above, they're ready to go. And my kids loved it.
So that's great. So I have a couple quick questions here. What was the most unexpected part of the trip?
Oh God, recognizing the absurdity of how we live. I wasn't really planning on that. Like we are on a hamster wheel, and that hamster wheel doesn't really exist to that degree, at least. And I mean, I'm sure it does, but not when you're there experiencing it the way we were experiencing it. Mm-hmm. That was probably the most unexpected. And I was a little messed up for a couple of weeks when I got back. It was hard to like adjust to getting back on the hamster wheel.
Right. And so that goes to my next question, which is kind of fundamental to this radio show and your business. What really does this have to do with real estate or being a realtor? What have you actually learned from that trip that has changed your viewpoint as far as working in real estate and trying to find the best ways to support your clients and those that you work with that are buyers and sellers?
I don't think it would. I don't think it changed. I would say it more was a matter of confirming what we as a company and I believe, which is the definition of home is different for everyone, and that I personally believe that home is really about like it's like an internal place. Like you can be at home when you're with certain people, but not at home, quote unquote, in like your house, and watching a group of nomadic people that like they move all the time. They're not stationary like we think of home. So they really are, their home is their tribe. And I think that's true of all of us. That like, even for you, like your friends, you're still single right now. But like I've been to your house and it's a special place, but it's a home because of you. When I come over there to visit you, it's not because of the 4 walls and the front door to go through there. The home it's Jason Grill, right? And it wouldn't be the same home if you weren't there.
That's true. That's an interesting way to look at it. You should see my lawn right now, Andrew. You need to come back over. I've worked very hard on the mulching, the flowers, the green yard. I mean, compared to what it was when we bought this house, the outside needed some love, some tender love. The inside was great, but now we're, it's become a passion, man.
Well, you've done an amazing job on that place. You have, for sure, done a lot of work, and I hate yard work, so I'm really glad to live vicariously through you and the work that you've done on your own. So,
Andrew Bash is our guest today. Bash & Co. Sotheby International Realty. BashCosir.com, the best in Kansas City. We'll be right back after the break with more of the Grill Nation show. Thanks for joining us today. Okay. One segment left, Andrew.
One segment left. Okay, let's do this. What are we talking about this time?
We're gonna dive a little deeper into some nuggets
Take
about
my shuka off.
the trip.
People.
Now I can see you again.
Not my shuka. Was the shuka? Did it distract you, Jason?
No, I loved it. We are ready to go. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Grill Nation Show with Jason Grill. 980 AM KMBZ on radio, podcast networks, all of them pretty much were on there. At our website, grillnationshow.com, or you're watching us on the live stream. This will also be up on YouTube. Please look at our YouTube page. We have all of our interviews that are there, along with sneak peek one question preview, so you can get a taste of all of the people we've had on the show. Andrew Bash and Bash and Co. Sotheby International Realty, our real estate guru here in the region. He comes on with different parts of his team 3 or 4 times a year, and we're excited to have him back. This show's been a little different. We've talked about a recent trip that he made to Africa and how it's kind of impacted him and his family and kind of what he took away from that trip. We've now entered our best for last segment with Andrew Bash. Again, Bash & Co. Their website is bashcosir.com. Andrew, what was your favorite part of the trip to Africa?
That's such a hard question. I mean, I would say if I had to pick something, it was just experiencing all of the different kinds of animals in their environment, like including, like, I don't know, we're animals. Humans are also animals, right? Like, we're mammals, and being around a version of us that still lives a very, very primitive life was amazing, as well as driving up to a rock with 12 lions laying on it, basking in the sun, and being like 3 feet away from them. And because of the pandemic, like, there was no one there. So the guides told us normally there would be like 40 or 50 trucks, like, taking turns to see this stuff. But for us, there was no one there. Like, literally, there was maybe 2 other trucks out there. And the other part I loved is the patience necessary to enjoy. We're so used to, like, getting whatever we want by just pushing a button because of technology. And when you're there, like, your technology doesn't work. As far as it relates to being dialed back into the States, but also, like, you could drive for 3 hours and not see anything, and then all of a sudden come across, like, a bunch of lions just mowing on a wildebeest, just watching the circle of life take place.
Sounds awesome. Hey,
It's crazy.
Another quick one. Did you learn any life lessons or best advice from those you visited in Africa, the actual people on the first part of the leg of the trip from Tanzania? What would you take from them? Were there any good life lessons that you took from them?
Well, I think I shared with you earlier the idea of instead of thinking about, taking 20 minutes in the morning and in the afternoon or evening to meditate, and which I try to at least get my 20 minutes in the morning, is to really live your life as a moving meditation by being present in the moment at all times.
Mm-hmm. That's great. If you had to pick one word, Andrew Bash, to describe the people you met in Africa, what would that be?
Hakuna Matata.
And that means what?
No worries, which, by the way, is a Tanzanian it's a Tanzanian word that they use all the time, and Disney grabbed it and turned it into a song in Lion King, and then they basically tried to trademark it and make it their own to where nobody can use it other than Disney, which the exploitation of that country and the continent of Africa is frightening. It's borderline offensive.
Wow. Do you think you'll ever make it back to Africa?
Oh, for multiple times.
Really?
For sure.
Okay. Maybe I'll join you on one of those safaris or trips.
We might even open up. We've talked about starting maybe we start a company, or it's like There's
you kind of have it down now how to do it.
I don't, but Heather Hunt does. Heather Hunt and my wife could definitely do it. Courtney, but I couldn't do it. I'm busy selling real estate.
Yeah, and that's another question I had for you was, does this impact your company moving forward at all? And if it's so, like, how does it? I mean, I know we've talked around this a little bit, but you said you took 2 weeks to kind of get back to normal. The hamster wheel that we live on. Are you going to enjoy the little things more? Are you going to worry as much about, like making sure everything you have is perfect or not?
I will be, and I would recommend this for all of your listeners. I would say that I am going to make an effort to be more understanding and vigilant about the stories and indoctrination that I have had participated in as it relates to what I believe to be true that may or may not be true. The Russian Americans at the buffet story is a real story about just how quickly you have life transforming experiences and then you fall back into the old habits of what you used to do, partially because it's normal from where you sit, and partially because it's what everybody else is doing around you. And like you just it's difficult to stay outside of your comfort zone and look at things with a perspective that may not be the one that makes the most sense to you. And having that open-mindedness is, I think, key to that, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, it should.
It does make sense. And I feel like you've always been very mindful, at least since I've known you, of trying to to kind of look at things from a different angle and trying to build relationships that are meaningful, maybe more so than a lot of people in our world. So I think if this,
that's a nice compliment.
Yeah, well, you're very much like a deeper thinker than a lot of people in our world. And so if this trip helped you and impacted you to another degree, I think it only is going to help you in your growth of your company, which I do want to mention with only 2 minutes left in the show. I had, tons of more questions we could get to, but everything it sounds like is pretty good with the growth of Bash & Co. Every time I get online, I see that there's new people joining the team and you're growing, which is a great thing.
It is a great thing. We've got, we're up to 20 plus agents, and they're all, they're great humans. They're kind, but aggressive, and they negotiate, and they take care of their clients, and they care about their clients, and they're not transactional oriented. They're client relationship oriented, which, as I've said to you before, is not typical in our industry. And we're working really hard to find more partners to be a part of that kind of environment.
And does the real estate market continue to be like it is, you think, for the rest of the summer and fall? I know those are your very hot moments in this time of day, at this time of year.
I'm guessing we're probably kind of moving towards the peak of this, and we'll continue to be pretty strong through most of 2022. And as we move into 2023, we'll probably start to see a lot more shifting than what we're seeing now. Right now is total insanity. So,
well, Andrew, I'm glad that you had the opportunity to travel to Africa. It sounds like that was an extremely enlightening and engaging and just a wonderful vacation, I guess, if you want to call it that. But it really kind of a stepping back from the hamster wheel of reality. Andrew Bash & Co. Sotheby International Realty. They are at bashcosir.com. He's the founder. You see their blue Navy signs all over town, not only at castles at Weatherby Lake that are in the millions, but also down the street for me in the $200,000 to $300,000 homes. They really can help you in many different ways. We appreciate you coming on the show today, Andrew, and sharing your story from Africa and all you do for our community.
Well, Jason, thanks for all you do for our community, and thank you for allowing me to get to hang out with you on the show. So I appreciate it.
You bet, my friend. Thanks for our listeners for joining us today on the Grill Nation Show. We will see you again next week. Take care and have a great day.